Last year, something crazy happened. I didn't set a single money goal for my business. And you know what? I crushed it. I had record-breaking months. I had record high client enrollment. I was having more fun than ever. I was way less stressed, way less overwhelmed without even me tracking a number. I would simply end the month with a ridiculously high revenue number thinking, how is this so easy? This year, getting a little cocky, completely different story. I set a hard money goal and everything changed, not in a good way. And this is the reality that I learned after doing this the wrong way, and why I wanted to create this video is by creating a money goal, you're creating this ball and chain that is strapped to you. And unless you think and operate that specific way, where you're really able to detach emotionally from it and you focus on the mechanics of the business, it doesn't work well for you. Because when you fixate on that number, you create invisible handcuffs. And I found that this zapped my creativity. Every single client that left, everything that went wrong, every single offer that didn't perform well just felt like a dreaded, horrid feeling, moving me further and further away from my target. And this is exactly what happened. As soon as one of these things happened, where let's say a client would have a really amazing result and say, hey, I've gotten a lot out of this program, but I need to go. I'm going in a different direction. Even though they had an amazing testimonial, my brain said this is not a good thing because I'm moving away from money goals. Or if something didn't work out, like an offer bombed, it's like I'm failing, right? Or you have this huge unexpected expense, or you want to start spending money on to grow your team. You're like, oh, this is like pushing me away from my profit goal. And this is the moment that I realized that this entrepreneur game is not about the focus on money. It's about the act of creation. Because when I stopped obsessing about a specific dollar amount and I simply focused on the pure raw act of creation, my mentality completely switched. Whereas money, if you focus on just the money, it is a selfish gain, meaning that I am taking money out of your bank account for my own selfish gain, which is just the entirety of that goal. Whereas if you focus instead, and what worked well for me is switching the entire focus from what am I going to do to earn money as fast as humanly possible to how can I create the most value for my clients and potential clients, knowing that the money will come because that is what the market is willing to pay for. Everything switched. And what happened very quickly was I started making better offers as soon as I saw this. People started joining my program pretty much out of nowhere. As soon as I stopped tracking my money, my revenue that month went up. And I started creating more and more powerful tools for clients to help them implement the productized coach model. It was less about the money. It was more focused on what can I create to make sure my clients win. So this is my recommendation. If you're someone really ambitious and you have a target, and you can have that target far out, I want to share a few things that have worked really well for me. So the first is have a long-term vision of where you're going, like a future self vision of how much money you're making and all of those qualities. And that can be around money, but don't put a time on it. And there's an amazing quote by Naval that says, you have to keep working. You can't keep track or you will run out of time. And he emphasizes the point that if you focus too much on the time it takes to get to an outcome, very quickly you start tracking things and then you will actually run out of time because you're so focused on the amount of time it takes. And for me, it took 7 to 8 years before I started having multiple six-figure years in my business. I'm going on year 8 right now. It took me a number of years to get here, right? And my goal for my clients is to fast track them through that process so they don't have to go through the pain and hardship I did. But ultimately, you have to realize that setting a future vision of where you're going is really critical and key. And I have an idea of how much money my future self is making, but I didn't put a timeline on when I get there. I just know it's going to happen. The second thing is to focus on the act of creation over setting targets. And the biggest frame and emphasis on this is that you want to go through the process of saying, what can I create that will deliver value so that a person will pay me for it. And this is where I create through offers and through workshops and through programs where I'm able to actually help someone radically transform their life in a very positive, meaningful way by creating the offers and resources that I do for clients while then working with them closely to get their offers dialed in. And I just had a client who had a record-breaking launch from the work we did, which financially changed his trajectory. He went from, oh my gosh, I need to pull some cash coming in with a lot of stress. I gave him a plan. And by doing that through that act of creation and giving someone a plan, he's now in a way better off position financially after this launch to be able to actually serve his clients at a higher level and have a lot more fun in the business. The third thing is to go in and whenever you publish anything, just completely reset expectations. And I think a lot of people, this goes back to this idea from Viktor Frankl back in the day, where when the people at the concentration camps had an idea of when they were going to get out of the concentration camp and that day passed, let's say they said, oh, we're going to be out by Christmas, and then Christmas came and passed, those would be the people that often passed away, as sad and horrific as that is. But what Frankl noticed is that it was the people that had the expectation of when this is going to happen were the ones that actually suffered the most when it didn't happen. And so to take a step back and internalize how we can use this beautiful wisdom today, we want to make sure that every single thing we publish, we ship, we put out, we have zero expectation attached to it. And this is why I find, for me personally, that having short-term money goals is really counterintuitive to this approach, because it forces us to have a positive or negative reaction to it, because it's either pushing us toward our goal or further away. And for some people that will work really well. It just didn't work for me, which is why I'm creating this video. And so my recommendation is whenever I put an offer out, whenever I put a message into the world, whenever I create a video like this, I'm treating it as an experiment rather than this has to work leading to this monetary outcome or else I am sad or unhappy. Because so many people, especially in the business world, wrap our entire identities around our business. And if somebody says no to our offer, it means that they've said no to us. And that can just absolutely be crushing if you don't take it the right way, which is why it's so vitally important to make sure you double down on simply putting things out into the world, being consistent, and showing up every single day for the pure act of creation. So that's it. I'm done with money goals for a little bit. And yeah, I'm going to hit my big target. I'm going to get there. I know it's just a matter of time. And whenever that time comes is when it will come. But for now, I'm just going to keep on creating and keep creating world-class client results. Catch you in the next video.